What if you woke up tomorrow morning, looked outside your window, and the sky was completely, utterly, permanently black? No sunrise, no warmth creeping through your curtains, no golden light stretching across the horizon. Just nothing. A cold, infinite darkness where the sun used to be. Now most people, when they hear this question, they think, okay, we'd freeze. We'd die. Simple. But what actually happens is so much more terrifying, so much more strange, and so much more fascinating than you could possibly imagine. Because the truth is, the end wouldn't come the way you expect it. It wouldn't even begin the way you think it would. And some of what happens in those first few moments is going to genuinely shock you. So stay with me here, because we're going to go through this second by second, minute by minute, and then day by day. And by the time we're done, you're going to look up at that sky tomorrow morning with a completely different pair of eyes. First, let's just sit with the sheer scale of what we're talking about. The sun is not just a big star sitting somewhere up there in the sky. The sun is the reason everything you've ever known exists. It is 1.3 million times the size of Earth. If you hollowed it out, you could fit 1.3 million Earths inside it. The gravity it produces holds 8 planets, hundreds of moons, billions of asteroids, and trillions of comets in a perfect cosmic dance that has been going on for 4.5 billion years. Every single calorie of energy that has ever flowed through every living thing on this planet, every blade of grass, every human heartbeat, every ocean current, every gust of wind, all of it traces back to that one burning ball of gas 93 million miles away. And in our scenario today, it's gone. Instantly. Completely. As if it never existed. Let's start the clock. 0 seconds. The sun disappears. And here is the first thing that will absolutely blow your mind. You won't know. Nobody on Earth will know. Not for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Because light travels at 186,000 miles per second, and the sun is 93 million miles away. The last photons of sunlight that the sun ever produced are already on their way to us. They left the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. And for those 8 minutes and 20 seconds, those photons are still traveling through space, completely unaware that the source that fired them no longer exists. The sky will still be blue. The sun will still appear to be shining. Birds will still be singing. Children will still be playing outside. And nobody, not a single human being, not a single instrument, not a single telescope on the planet, will have any idea that the sun is already gone. Think about that for a second. The most catastrophic event in the history of our solar system will have already happened, and we'll be completely oblivious, going about our Tuesday mornings, making coffee, checking our phones. But something else happens at 0 seconds. Something that travels even faster than light, and that's gravity. Now, Einstein's theory of general relativity tells us that changes in gravity also propagate at the speed of light. So technically, Earth wouldn't feel the gravitational absence of the sun for those same 8 minutes and 20 seconds either. But the moment the sun disappears, that gravitational signal is also racing toward us at 186,000 miles per second. It's a wave of gravitational change, a ripple in the fabric of space-time, and it's heading our way. For now though, nothing. The world is normal. 8 minutes and 18 seconds to go. During these 8 minutes, you need to understand something profound about what the sun's gravity actually does to Earth. Right now, as you're sitting there, Earth is not flying straight through space. It's constantly falling toward the sun, but it's also moving sideways so fast that it keeps missing. That's what an orbit is. It's a constant, perfect balance between falling and missing. The sun's gravity is like an invisible leash, and Earth is running in a perfect circle at the end of it, around and around, year after year, for billions of years. The moment that leash breaks, the moment that gravitational anchor disappears, Earth will no longer curve around anything. It will do what any object does when you cut the string. It will fly off in a straight line. Specifically, it will continue moving in the direction it was traveling the instant the gravity disappeared, at roughly 67,000 miles per hour, in a perfectly straight trajectory, out into the darkness of interstellar space. But again, we won't know this yet. 7 minutes left. Let's talk about those final minutes of normal life on Earth, because they are both beautiful and heartbreaking when you truly understand what they represent. Every person who is outside right now feeling the warmth of the sun on their skin, that warmth is real. Those photons are real. That light left the sun 8 minutes ago, and it is genuinely arriving at Earth and genuinely warming skin and genuinely powering photosynthesis in every leaf on every tree. The sun being gone doesn't change any of that in these final minutes. Life is still operating perfectly normally. 3 minutes left. Somewhere on Earth, a farmer is watering crops that will never grow to harvest. A solar panel on a rooftop is still generating electricity. A child is squinting up at the sun and being told not to look directly at it. 1 minute left. 30 seconds. 10. And then, 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun disappears, two things happen simultaneously. The sky goes dark, and Earth loses its gravitational anchor. The darkness doesn't happen everywhere at once. The side of Earth facing where the sun was, that side goes dark instantly. For the people on the night side of the planet, nothing appears to change at first. It's already dark for them. But for the billions of people living in daylight right now, the sun simply vanishes from the sky. Not a sunset, not a gradual dimming. One moment it's there, blazing in the sky. The next moment, black. Not twilight black. Not cloudy day black. Absolute, complete, total darkness. The kind of darkness that no human being alive today has ever experienced. Because even on the darkest nights, there are stars. There is the moon. But in that first moment, with eyes completely unprepared, pure blindness. The psychological impact alone would be immediate and catastrophic. Billions of people experiencing sudden, total blindness would create instant panic on a scale impossible to comprehend. Car accidents, plane crashes, industrial accidents, fires, pure, animal terror spreading across the daylight side of the planet in seconds. And simultaneously, without any fanfare, without any sensation you could feel, Earth begins moving in a straight line. Here's the thing about that straight line movement, you won't feel it. You don't feel Earth's orbital motion now, and you won't feel it stopping now. There's no jolt, no lurch, no sensation of any kind. Earth just stops curving. That's all. And it begins drifting at 67,000 miles per hour into the darkness. Now let's talk temperature, because this is where things get both slower and more terrifying than people expect. Here's the shocking truth that almost nobody realizes. Earth will not freeze instantly. It won't even freeze quickly. Earth has something called thermal mass, the ground, the oceans, the atmosphere. They've been absorbing solar energy for 4.5 billion years, and they hold on to heat. The oceans alone contain an almost incomprehensible amount of stored thermal energy. And the atmosphere acts like a blanket, trapping whatever heat remains. In the first hour after the sun disappears, the surface temperature would drop by only a few degrees. That's it. You wouldn't necessarily notice it unless you were already cold. In the first day, average global surface temperatures would drop from roughly 57 degrees Fahrenheit to somewhere around 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That's devastating. That's a 57-degree drop in a single day. Most plants would be dead or dying. Animals in the tropics would be in shock. But humans in heated buildings? You'd survive day one. Within a week, surface temperatures would be around negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The top layers of the oceans would start freezing. Rivers and lakes would be frozen solid. Crops everywhere, every single crop on the entire planet, would be dead. The food supply chain would collapse not over months, but over days, because the entire global food system depends on a supply chain that's already stretched thin, even under perfect conditions. Within a year, average surface temperatures would plummet to around negative 100 to negative 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the surface of Earth would be encased in ice. The oceans wouldn't freeze all the way through. They're too deep, too massive, and they hold too much heat. The deep oceans would remain liquid for hundreds of thousands of years, actually. But the surface would be a frozen, dark wasteland. But here's something extraordinary. And this is the part of the story that most people never hear, because they stop at the freezing part. Humans might actually survive this. Not on the surface. Not in any comfortable way. But survive. Here's how. Earth has geothermal energy. Volcanic activity. The core of our planet is still hot enough to support life, and it will remain hot for billions of years regardless of what happens to the sun. There are places on Earth today, deep-sea hydrothermal vents, where entire ecosystems of life exist in complete, total darkness with no sunlight whatsoever. These ecosystems thrive on chemical energy from the Earth itself, and they would survive the loss of the sun completely unaffected. For humans, the most viable survival strategy would be to go deep. Iceland, with its abundant geothermal energy, would actually become one of the most valuable pieces of real estate on a sunless Earth. Deep underground bunkers, heated by geothermal power, with nuclear energy as backup, could theoretically sustain small populations for a very long time. Mushrooms don't need sunlight. Some bacteria don't need sunlight. With carefully managed artificial ecosystems, humans could potentially survive for generations underground or near volcanic heat sources. It wouldn't be civilization as we know it. It would be a brutal, stripped-down existence in the dark. But survival? Genuinely possible for some. Now let's zoom out from Earth and talk about what would be happening in the rest of the solar system during all of this, because it is absolutely mind-bending. Every single planet, every moon, every asteroid, every comet, all of them, simultaneously, would stop orbiting and fly off in straight lines in whatever direction they happened to be moving at the moment the gravity disappeared. The solar system, which has existed as an organized, elegant, gravitationally bound structure for 4.5 billion years, would disintegrate. Completely. Instantly. In an instant that no human being would be alive to witness from any distance, the most complex gravitational structure in this region of the galaxy would simply cease to exist. Jupiter, the giant, the gravitational shepherd of the solar system, would fly off toward interstellar space. Saturn's rings, those impossibly beautiful rings that have delighted every human being who has ever pointed a telescope at the sky, would continue in space as a sort of dispersing, spreading trail of ice and rock, no longer held together by Saturn's own gravity and orbital mechanics, slowly spreading out over millions of years until they become invisible traces in the dark. Mars would drift away. Venus would drift away. Mercury, tiny Mercury, which was orbiting so close and so fast, would shoot off like a bullet compared to the outer planets. And all the while, Earth would be moving, silently, straight, into darkness, for hundreds of millions of years, unless it happened to encounter another star's gravitational pull, which is statistically almost impossible, given how empty the space between stars truly is. Now I want to talk about something that is genuinely one of the most poetic and haunting aspects of this entire scenario, and it's something that very few people ever think about. The light from Earth would keep traveling outward into space after the sun disappeared. The radio signals we've been broadcasting for over 100 years would keep expanding outward in a sphere at the speed of light. Our television shows, our radio broadcasts, our satellite signals, all of them would continue traveling outward, long after the last human being on Earth had died. For hundreds of light years in every direction, our signals would be silently expanding through the cosmos, the record of a civilization that used to exist, still traveling, still expanding, potentially detectable by any sufficiently advanced civilization that happened to be in the right place. In a way, our broadcasts are immortal. Even if every human being died within a year of the sun disappearing, the electromagnetic record of our existence would be traveling through space for millions of years. Some of those signals have already been traveling for 100 years. They're already 100 light years away. If there is someone out there listening, they'd hear us, and they wouldn't know we were already gone. There's something else worth talking about that scientists genuinely debate, and it connects to the deep philosophical question lurking underneath all of this. What does it mean for Earth to exist without the sun? From a purely physical standpoint, Earth without the sun is still Earth. It still has its mass. It still has its iron core, its mantle, its tectonic plates. It still has its moon. The moon would come with us on our journey into interstellar space, still orbiting us, still causing tides in whatever remained of the liquid oceans beneath the ice. The moon would actually be an important source of tidal heating for the deep ocean waters. Earth and the moon would travel together as a binary system through the dark. Billions of years from now, if nothing disturbed them, the frozen Earth and its moon would be drifting through the interstellar void, possibly forever, or until they were captured by another star's gravity, or until they collided with something else. Two frozen relics of what was once a warm, living, breathing, laughing, loving world. And this brings us to the largest truth hidden inside this thought experiment. The sun is not just a source of light and heat. The sun is the source of everything that makes Earth Earth. Every mountain that was built because plate tectonics were driven by heat. Yes, but life, the life that built soil, that created the conditions for complex geology, that shaped the atmosphere, all of that life was solar-powered. The oxygen in our atmosphere is there because ancient photosynthetic bacteria spent billions of years converting solar energy into oxygen. The coal and oil we burn today is just ancient sunlight, captured by plants millions of years ago and compressed underground. When you drive your car, you're burning stored sunlight from the Jurassic period. Without the sun, none of this would have ever existed. Earth would have been a cold, dark, geologically active rock floating in space, possibly with some chemosynthetic microbes living near hydrothermal vents. But no forests, no oceans full of fish, no birds, no dinosaurs, no humans, no history, no art, no science, no love, no war, no civilization. Everything you are, everything you know, everyone you love, all of it is made of sunlight. Your body is built from food, which is built from plants, which are built from sunlight. The warmth you felt on your face every morning of your life, that's the sun. The blue of the sky, that's the sun scattering through our atmosphere. The colors of every sunrise and sunset you've ever seen, the sun. The seasons, the weather, the wind, the rain, all of it powered by solar energy driving the engine of our atmosphere. We are, in the most literal and profound sense of the word, children of the sun. And a universe without it, for us, would be a universe of silence and ice and darkness, with perhaps a few 100,000 human survivors huddled underground near volcanic vents, burning through the last of our nuclear fuel, growing mushrooms in the dark, telling stories to each other about what it felt like to stand outside and feel warm. And here's the last thing I want to leave you with, because it matters more than anything else in this entire script. The sun isn't going to disappear tomorrow, but it is going to change. In about 5 billion years, which is an almost incomprehensible amount of time in the future, the sun will begin to expand into what's called a red giant. It will grow so large that it will swallow Mercury, then Venus, and possibly Earth itself. The warming leading up to that event will have already made Earth's surface uninhabitable hundreds of millions of years before that. So in a very real sense, the sun that gives us everything will also eventually take it all away. Not by disappearing, but by consuming. Every civilization that has ever thrived on this planet has done so in a brief, fragile, beautiful window of perfect solar stability. We live in a Goldilocks moment, not too hot, not too cold, just right. And that window, in cosmic terms, is not going to last forever. The question isn't whether humanity needs to become a multi-planetary species. The question is whether we're going to take that reality seriously before it's too late. We have the sun. We have the warmth. We have the blue sky and the seasons and the photosynthesis and the oxygen. We have all of it, right now, and it is so easy to take it completely for granted. So tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off and the light comes through your window, maybe, just maybe, take one extra second to recognize what that light actually is. It traveled 93 million miles in 8 minutes and 20 seconds, across the void of space, to warm your face. It has been doing that every single day for 4.5 billion years. It is the most reliable, most generous, most taken-for-granted gift in the history of our entire civilization. And if this video made you feel even a fraction of the awe that the universe deserves, then share it with someone who needs a little perspective today. Now here's a question I want you to think about and answer in the comments below. If the sun disappeared and you had to choose one location on Earth to survive, using only geothermal energy and underground resources, where would you go and why? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment.